What's up, Bumsy? Miss you guys, but here I am at Donegal at my home church. So hey, have a look. It's like 200 years old or something, and we're located like right on the river. It's pretty old, like, but this is where I grew up. But I'm gonna take you on a quick little tour. Now, here is where I sat on a Sunday morning. Right bang centre in the middle, right at the back. This is our view. And right over here, this is where Miss Betty would have sat. And over here is where Miss Olga would have sat. And Mr. Jim always sat here. And John and Adeline, they were always here. Right up here, this is where we got the organ. This is where we would have had communion. Do you know the way like y'all come up and you dip the bread in the wine like a method of intinction? Well, here we come up and we kneel around the rail and we have our communion here. Now, Sunday mornings we may have 20 to 30 people here on a Sunday morning, but this is where we do worship, and this is my little church. Isn't it cute? So here I am in the actual pulpit. Haven't been up here in years. And look, the pastor has even got his own clock up here just to keep an eye on the time. And this is still here. I made this whenever I was in middle school, and this still kept on to it. How cool. But it's so cool to be up here, and man, it has been a long, long time since I've been in this church. But it's good to be here. And this week we are going to be talking about love the sinner, hate the sin. Now, hands up if you have ever either heard of this phrase before or have maybe been the one to say it. Don't know if your hands are up or not, but I'm assuming the majority of you guys have heard this phrase or maybe have even said it before. Now, this phrase is said with really good intentions, but I wonder, was it ever said in Scripture? Now, here's a little secret. Now, come on in. Jesus never said it. Never once in Scripture did Jesus ever utter these words, love the sinner, hate the sin. Now, a man called Augustine, some people say Augustine, whatever you want to do, but say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Augustine. He said this phrase. He said, I want you to have a love for mankind and a hatred of sin. So, maybe that was where it all started. Who knows? But that is what we are going to talk about tonight. So get ready. So here I am at the organ. Now, never could ever play the organ, but here we are. Now, right behind, you'll see that was what hymns we were going to sing next. See the numbers? Well, that was my job as a teenager. Exciting. Changing the hymn numbers every Sunday morning. Yes. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. Sin. So if I was to ask you what sin is all about, I wonder what you would say. Okay, actually, let's do that right now. So, where you're at, just begin to shout it out. What do you think sin is? Ready? Go. I'm sure that is a joyful noise in there right now. I'm sure some of you 7th graders are be like, yeah, Derek, it's the bad stuff. It's a great accent, I know. 8th graders be like, yeah, it's like liking someone's photo on Instagram and then like going back and unliking it. And then 9th graders are probably like, middle school in general. Sin means this. It means to stray from the path or miss the mark, to wander off from God's will or desire for you. Now, guess what? Your response should be, what, Derek? What? Guess what? We all sin. I want you to turn to somebody next to you and be like, yo, what's up, sinner? Go. That was cool. No one is exempt. Now look at somebody on the other side of you and maybe snap your fingers, a little bit of sass in there or something, say, You are far from perfect. Ready? Go. You are far from perfect. Nice. Sin. It is bad. Sin ruins relationships, it destroys our well-being, and sin ultimately separates us from God. So here we are outside the church. Real pretty and tranquil, but back to what we're talking about. See, my beef with this whole half-truth, my whole beef with this statement kind of goes down to this, really, and it's judgment. See, this statement, if I say love the sin, hate the sinner, kind of leads me to accusing, scrutinizing, and judging others as sinners. But hey, it's all good. I still love you. It's kind of like, oh my goodness, can you believe how fake she is? Like, that's so nasty. Wait, she's coming. I love you, girl. So here I am, right beside where I live. It is Lough Esk Lake. Isn't it pretty? It is beautiful out here, and I spent many a days as a kid just coming out and paddling on these waters. But back to what we were talking about. See, Jesus never ever commanded us in Scripture to love the sinner and hate the sin. He never said to go out and love the sinner. Now Jesus did this. He went out and he loved those maybe who were tax collectors or who were drunkards or who were in the temple, and he went and loved them. But he never said in Scripture just to go out and to love the sinners. Actually, he said something which was completely different. And he said, I want you to go and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, is there a difference? Love the sinner, love your neighbor. See, if I approach you as a sinner, I have already put myself on a different standard than you. I have leveled myself up and I have maybe made myself look better than you. I'm going to approach you as a sinner and I am so much better than you. But what about if I was to approach you as a neighbor? See, then that changes things. That makes things an equal playing field. That changes things. See, I'm told to love my neighbor. I'm told not to judge. See, that neighbor is that annoying little kid that's in your classroom, that little kid that gets under your nerves. Your neighbor is your younger sibling that maybe frustrates you every day. Your neighbor is that person that's sitting in church right beside you right now. The whole key to this thing begins with love. Love, love, love. See, don't return evil for evil. Don't return an eye for an eye. Do you remember that guy Gandhi? Maybe you don't, but Gandhi, pretty well known. He said this, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind. If somebody's nasty to you, that means not to be nasty back. It means to love. Love your neighbour and change the world. I want you to look at somebody, look at the person next to them and say, you is my neighbour and I love you. So now I'm back at home, back in the living room, but back to what we're talking about again. See, Jesus never once said, I hate your sin, but I love you. See, instead he talked about God's forgiveness. And I think that's something that we need to do as young people, as a church today. We need to talk about God's forgiveness and God's grace. We're quick as Christians to point out the sin of others, to point out what wrong other people are doing. And see, that's what churchgoers, or non-churchgoers, whenever I chat to them, that's what they hate about the church. Sometimes they think that Christians are judgmental. They sometimes think that Christians are hypocritical because they're judging of the wrongdoing of others whenever they've got their own little wrongdoings themselves. So how about you are instead known for that kid who just loves? He just loves despite everything else. See, my challenge for you today is to strive to lay aside your own sin while demonstrating humility and grace to others. Leave the whole judgment up to God. It's up to God to judge. Leave that to God. But just go about loving. Love all around you. Love your neighbour. I love you guys. I miss you guys a lot. I wish I could be there. I hope that I'll be back soon. And all I can do on this side right now is just wait. So I'm waiting for the US government to get back in touch And so I appreciate your prayers and appreciate all your messages, and I'll be back soon, I promise.